Now recording.
Hi,
Hi, Craig.
Craig. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special episode of Roundtable Report. I'm Shaylei,
I'm Jazzy,
and
and
today
we are joined with some special people. I'm excited. I can't help myself.
everybody welcome Selly and Picco from Raider.io.
Hi, guys.
Hey all.
Hello, thanks for having us.
How are you
Thanks for
guys doing?
coming.
I'm doing great, I think.
You think?
It's rare to get opportunity. Yeah, don't want to think too much about it. Nah, it's
Exactly.
great to get opportunities like these to actually, talk to cool
You actu-
people and the community in general.
You actually get to put voices with the names,
That's terrifying.
right? So, burning question. How did you guys get started with Raider.io?
You want to go first, Pico?
Yeah, sure. Well, let's get back down to history path. I always been around in World of Warcraft. Like I started off 20 years ago, like many other people. And yes, I'm that old. And like 7 years ago, when Mythic Plus was introduced, Legion came out, etc. Obviously, I was like, oh, cool, Mythic Plus. Let's do that. I started to do keys. I got to play with quite of the key pushers that still play till this day and do MDI and TGP. And my path started actually by exploring Twitch and exploring some of the Mythic Plus streams and become friends with some of the streamers, which led to it that I became a moderator in some of the streams. And that was kind of my first step into the communities. And down the road, I would get moderator in more streams, and more streamers would know me in the community, like EU side and NA side. And at some point, there was that option to also moderate for Race to Word First. So I started to moderate, I think first for Method, then for Pieces. And then it just like added up to, okay, then I moderated also for Echo and then for Team Liquid. And I think it was 6 years ago, I also joined Keystone Masters, which is now Keystone Production. It's like a little community, I want to say, around Syrah and Shine, who plan and do fun Mythic Plus events, like formats that you don't see on the official broadcast, where you just can experiment and see, okay, how does this work? Do people like this if we do this and this? And that's where I actually met Hula for the first time. And we were working on one of the Keystone Masters event together. Like she was doing videos and interviews, and I was helping doing the interviews, interviewing the teams that were participating. That's where we met the first time. And down the road, she would ask me to moderate the Pro-Am. I think it was the first Pro-Am that we did back then, 4 years ago. I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And ever since then, we would meet in events, be it like the next Pro-Am or some Keystone Master stuff. She knew me, I was around. Like, some people knew me as she's moderating for a lot of stuff, and like she does quite a, I want to say, good job. And a bit over 2 years ago, there was an opening at Raider.io. And initially, I signed up to be the graphic designer for Raider.io because they were looking for one. And I was like, should I apply? Should I not? And Sarah was like, I mean, what to lose, right? It's like, it's either a yes or a no. And if it's a no, they at least know you're available and around. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So I sent in my stuff and I was waiting to hear back. And one night at like 3 a.m. my time, I got a message from Hula, and she was like, "Hey, I saw that you applied for this position. But what about this? How about you become our community and event coordinator?" And I was like, "Okay." First, I was like, I don't even know if I'm like capable of doing that, because for me it sounded like such a big role and such a big thing. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And Sierra was like, that's literally what you are doing for the last years. You are around in the community, you are moderating, you are like planning events, you are like preparing stuff and right, keeping things going and stuff. There's like, that's literally what you are doing for years already. Just do it. I was like, okay. So that's kind of when it started, a bit more like 2 years ago. February 2 years ago is when I joined Red.io as the community and events coordinator. And as of last year, I am the community and events manager. So I guess I'm doing a okay job.
I would say so. With all the
I,
things you got going on, I think you're doing a fantastic job. I don't get to see the
yes.
back end. I just see the results, which are great.
I mean, from what I see, from my interactions with you, I'd say you are definitely doing a good job. Also,
Thank you.
hi from another person who does community outreach, because that's what I do for EK.
Yeah.
I just work here.
Yeah,
Just work.
Pico likes to undersell her accomplishments, achievements. So yeah, I would definitely agree that she's doing a fantastic job in the role that she has, and hopefully she'll stay with us for a long time as well.
Hopefully. So, Sally, how did you get your start with Radar.io? I'm assuming 20
Um,
years ago, back
yeah,
where we met.
it's kind of similar. Both because I'm also old, but also because it started around the same time that Pico found her footing. It was back in Legion during Mythic Plus times. I was always a very competitive player, I would say. So I was always trying to push myself. And naturally, with Mythic Plus coming around, I also, wanted to challenge myself and see how far I can get in this new exciting content that Blizzard released during the expansion, or like with the expansion. And I think I did pretty well, at least. At least I would like to think so. Playing Rogue at the time, there were, especially during the later stages of the expansion, it wasn't like a super good time to be a rogue, but I made it work somehow. And throughout that process, because people constantly asked me questions and I started streaming a little bit, I became more active on the rogue community as well, or within the rogue community on Ravenhold specifically, which is the rogue class Discord, and basically gave advice there, and that eventually led to me through some tribulations. Don't need to go into too much detail there. I ended up writing the class guides for Icy Veins for Assassination and Outlaw Rogue. And through that process, I've come pretty close with Starim, who was the number one guy for Race for World First coverage. Even back in the day, maybe some people remember the name Mana Flask, um, who were doing
I
like Race for
remember it.
World First coverage. It was all written just like, live ticker style. And yeah, he basically asked me if, I would be interested because he's been doing that for Radar.io for a while already. And it was for Sepulchre in the last season or the last raid rather in Shadowlands. That he asked me if I wanted to try jumping into, doing Race of World First coverage because they were a person short. And I said, with some hesitation, because I didn't know, what was expected of me, how it really worked. But I said, okay, sure, why not? It's like a great opportunity. Don't really wanna give up on that. And through that, I essentially started, just getting in touch and getting to know the people at Radar.io. And I'm a very opinionated person, I would say. So I am a very analytical person. So I also ended up writing an article or two on some of the more analytical side of the Race World First. And that ultimately ended up with me taking over the staff writer position at Radar.io, because they were looking for someone who could take care of, some of the content that we produce that is not like event production, but rather just like written articles or other types of content that we're doing now. And that's kind of the position that I'm in right now as well. It's just yeah, whenever there's something that I personally think would be interesting or that we as a team think is interesting, then I essentially come up with a way to present that in any kind of format. Typically, what I do is just written format. So yeah, there's a lot of written content on Radar.io. Many people may not necessarily know about it, and a chunk of that's me.
Okay.
That's cool. So, Selly, we know you play an Assassination Road. What do you play, Picco?
I'm playing a druid, mostly restoration druid.
Okay. I call them trees because they're trees.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, let's call
It
it.
looks the tree form looks more like a broccoli though, doesn't it?
It
It does.
It does.
I used to
does.
have a resto druid on my raid team that would yell out chopping broccoli whenever she went into Incarn.
Chopping who was that?
That's Leia. But
Oh
that's a
my
reference
god.
to Dana Carvey, comedian, had a entire song called Chopping Broccoli, and it was hilarious. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's super old because apparently we are all old here, which is great.
You do that
So
again, the broccoli stuff?
Chopping Broccoli. Yep, by
No,
Dana
but like
Carvey.
yeah, but like the way you did it before, you know.
Oh, Chopping Broccoli.
Yeah, exactly.
Chopping
Oh,
Broccoli. Yeah, it's a whole thing. That's like the majority of the song is. Oh, it's great. Sorry, tangent. Haha.
it never
um,
happens.
no, it doesn't ever happen. Squirrel. Um, yeah. So y'all.
We actually forgot to, like, both of us, weirdly enough, forgot to mention one thing that we do at Radar.io.
Oh,
What's that?
And that is that, I mean, we touched on it a little bit. We both do Race the World First coverage, but we also, and that is kind of what our main thing is, that only us two do it together with one more person, is the MDI and TGP coverage as well. So every time there's an MDI or TGP coverage going on, we are basically sitting there watching and, writing live updates and collecting clips and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's the time that we both get to work together the most, I would say.
Well,
You
that
know
sounds
what
like
we also
fun.
forgot?
What?
what?
Funnily enough, like I started on February 1st, 2 years ago, and Saley started 2 days later. Like we
Yeah,
actually
that's true.
joined Radar pretty at the same time.
Yeah,
Well, that's
we
kinda
we both.
cool.
Just pure coincidence too, right?
And we're
Yeah,
both
because I don't think
German.
we really had that much
Absolutely.
to do with each other initially, right? Like obviously
Yeah.
doing the Race World First for Sepulchre, which was, I mean, that was one to start out in, because it
Yeah.
lasted like almost a full 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
none of us had
Halandras
any
was a
experience
wall.
with it, right? So we were like, okay, I guess this is our life now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of tough towards the end because, sitting there like 8, 10, 12 hours a day, every single day, while, guilds are smashing their head against Halondros. That
Yeah.
was interesting to watch. Let's call it that.
Halandras was
Um,
a fun fight, until
yeah,
it wasn't a fun fight anymore.
Yeah.
And then you got to do Anduin, which no. Um,
I feel
yeah.
like Anduin should have been an end raid boss.
Oh God,
I
don't
think
bring
it
this
was
up to Mark.
planned initially. Like there's a lot of rumors, I think, about how Shadowlands ended up. Like up until then, we typically had 4 raid tiers per expansion, not just 3.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah,
the
I could
hotel was
definitely
supposed
have
to be its
seen
own,
that
like,
they
its own
put some stuff
raid
together.
thing. Yeah. I don't
Oh
know,
God.
that fight so Jazzy raids on a mythic team, I raid on one of our heroic teams. I feel like that fight was a brick wall for a lot of people.
Oh, it absolutely was a massive wall. Just make sure you don't let Mark hear you say that Anduin should have been an boss because he will go off. And it's a running joke on our raid team. Like we'll say it today, that like during raid. Hey, did you know Anduin was supposed to be an end boss of a raid? It's just go off on a
Oh god,
tangent.
don't get
It's
him on a
hilarious.
tangent.
It's hilarious. Um,
I've heard
so
Mark's tangents, don't get him
oh,
on a tangent.
they're so good. But yeah,
Yeah, and
Anduin was
I
fun.
think Halondros as well kind of very much
Y-
qualifies as a penultimate boss in any raid.
It absolutely does,
So,
especially before
yeah.
they did the nerf of, you could hold it for what, 30 seconds for the bombs, and it used to
Yeah.
be, what, 8 or 6 or something stupid low? That I I remember watching Liquid and, Fired Up and THD were swapping the same bomb, and I had panic attacks every time that they just let it sit on the ground for, close to the timer. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But
I'm
yeah,
getting worked up now.
it was a great, both great and very, very exhausting to start out within that framework, and like having to do it for close to 4 weeks, just
Yeah,
making
close to
sure
4.
that everybody is
It was
really
Yeah, that was a
consistently
long
getting the
one.
updates and everything.
Yeah, that was a long race to world first. I know even the
Yeah,
raiders were exhausted.
I
Uh,
remember, like, when we were finally done, like, my brain actually was fried. Like, I was not able to put 2 sentences together, like, in a normal way. Like, it actually had an impact on me to do that for almost 4 weeks. It was brutal.
yeah,
Yeah, especially with
that
the
was a
long
long one.
splits initially as well, right? We had
Yeah,
I think it was 4 full days of splits or something like that, because Vigilant Guardian was so heavily overtuned as well.
Oh, it
Um,
was. Yeah.
little did we know that the split situation would only. But back then we didn't know it yet, so we
Yeah,
considered it a unique situation.
yeah. They got rid of the heroic week for Dragonflight. I believe I read a thing that they're bringing it back for the War Within.
yes.
Yep,
Thankfully.
At least for the first, right? Like,
for
At
the
maybe they
least
go
first
for
year,
back
yeah.
yeah.
to no heroic week again after, but, like, since the jump is so, big from, like, Dragonflight now to the War Within,
Yeah.
seems like they decided to come back with that,
Yeah. So,
which is
um
yay!
yeah, you mentioned, is do you let's talk about Radar.io, the website and the company a bit here. When exactly did Radar.io go live? I feel like it was sometime in BFA or earlier? Legion? Do you know? Or did
Um,
you guys came in
yeah,
later than
Pico, go ahead. You
Well, that
take this one.
depends. So, if you wanna be completely, like, correct, Radar.io itself began over around 17 years ago, during the days of the original Burning Crusade expansion,
Oh, wow, okay.
when, our founders and best boss ever, Char and Ulsolga, uh, had released the site, was known as Waojutsu. That was the first automated guild ranking site, right? So that was originally already, like, the plan that they had, what they wanted to do. And many years later, they kind of improved it and wanted to gather more information, etc., which then became Radar.io as we know it today. And that was in, I want to say, 2017. Yeah, early 2017.
Yep.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was basically a reaction to Mythic Plus, I would say. Like, there was always this desire to be able to rank guilds, during progression. But with Mythic Plus coming out, there was a lot of demand, I would say, from the community to be able to really push it to a competitive level that just wasn't there within the game. And yeah, I mean, that's where Radar.io and the Radar.io score ultimately ended up coming in and providing this tool for players to be able to really compare their accolades and their accomplishments within the game with each other, to challenge themselves, to push themselves higher and higher, because people already kind of did that voluntarily, I would say, even back in like season 2, season 3. I mean, there were no seasons, but like during Nighthold, during Tomb of Sagaras, I remember people already pushing and making a name for themselves as, pushing as high as possible. Some people may still remember Miao Chan, the Holy Paladin,
Yeah.
was definitely one of the first people who really like took it to a professional level almost, in repeatedly spamming the same key over and over again, actually perfecting every single second, every single minute in that run to be able to time a key. 'Cause, back then, Mythic Plus keystones didn't go down a level when you depleted them. You just didn't get any loot. and so that was very easy to just keep practicing the same key over and over until you actually manage to complete it.
It's funny we still have a holdover from that is when you time a key, you could 1, 2, or 3 chest it, even though there's not the 1, 2, or 3 chests
Yeah,
anymore. Like there,
Yeah.
we still say that. It's
yeah.
hilarious to me that that's the thing that we hold over from the initial Legion M plus. Um, Interesting you said about the score being a comparator. Uh, I am known in Eternal Kingdom as the master of spreadsheets because I have earned that title. And I remember trying to reverse engineer the math for the score, and that was complicated and hard and not so fun. I've since figured it out. Thank you, Wowhead, as well for posting that article long time ago. But do you have any idea of the insight of where that came from? Did how much tweaking did that take? I'm assuming a lot.
Yeah,
Or
so I don't know the actual specifics. What I do remember, just as a player back then, right, is that WoW Progress had a scoring system as well, but it was heavily catering towards just overtime keys.
Mhm.
And within the community, there was very quickly this decision that overtime keys just aren't worth as much in terms of just accomplishment than actually timing a key. And that's kind of where Radar IO came in, and I don't know whether that was something that was already present in the formula. Maybe if you figured it out, right? But Radar IO really pushed this idea that in order to gain more score, you need to actually time and finish the key within the time limit.
Mhm.
And that's definitely where the desire came from initially to do it differently, and in I think the vast majority's opinion, to do it better.
Yeah, the way the scoring works now, even now that Blizz just basically said, yeah, thanks, for the math, it greatly benefits for timed and even more so for extremely timed. Like you get a bonus for every
Yep.
additional chest, and you get additional points based on how quickly you time it versus how long the key is, et cetera, et cetera. So I just that formula of figuring it out and having fun with it was both a lot of fun and brain melting at the same time. When you
Yeah, I
didn't
can
have the formula.
imagine.
Yeah. But I did actually still have the spreadsheet that will do it for you. All you have to do is
Oh,
put in
Lord
the
have
time.
mercy,
Of
Jazzy.
course I do. Is nobody surprised? Nobody's surprised.
No, I'm not
Um,
surprised.
so I as of recording, Pico, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all have just finished up the pro-am that y'all were doing, correct?
Correct. Pro-Am was yesterday.
Awesome. And you got the TGP is coming up very quickly, right?
TGP is coming up. Well, not as quickly, but yeah, in July is when group stage and grand finals will be. So we have a bit of time.
A little bit of time. The signups are still open though, right?
Yeah, till I
Okay.
think June 14.
Okay.
So people can still sign up.
Fantastic. We'll have a link to where to sign up if anybody wants to join. I love the TGP. It's actually my favorite. Comparing, MDI versus TGP. I like the TGP more. It's
Yeah.
more technical, I feel, which I tend to like. Uh, but I remember when did well, I guess we should go with what exactly is the TGP for people who don't know and aren't jazzy.
Basically, I think the easiest way to explain it is that um, it's the opposite of the MDI, right? MDI is raising a dungeon as fast as possible, and TGP is pushing a dungeon as high as possible.
Okay.
Yep, that pretty much summarizes.
Yeah. So instead of racing, you're just trying to get that key level as high as you possibly can
Yeah.
and letting blood DKs do what blood DKs do.
I mean, you're not wrong about that.
You you
Or
you
nowadays,
mispronounced
Demon
Vengeance
Hunters.
Demon Hunter.
I
Exactly.
mean, sure. I have I have thoughts and opinions.
This is not Legion anymore.
Yeah.
Sure. It's not Legion BFA or Shadowlands. No. So like I said, signups are up now on Radar.io's website. We'll have a link below, and I have the dates here on our lovely show notes here. Proving Grounds start June 19th and end the 24th. And
Correct.
then the top 12 will be split into Group A and Group B. So Group A is 6 teams on June 5th, or I'm sorry, July 5th. Group B is another 6 teams on July 12th. And then Global Finals weekend is July 19th. It's always so much fun to watch all these. And
Yep.
if you, like I said, if you want to get involved and whatnot, link is down in the doobly-doo. So
in the
Even
doobly-doo.
if you are not ending up like on broadcast, like I always recommend if you have a team to play with, just sign up to get TR access. Like it's so much fun to be on Tournament Realm and just
it
try.
is.
You have Bisky, you can literally just create any class you want and just test any spec you ever felt like testing, right? Like just do it.
Yep. Without
It's so
having to grind all those pesky aspects.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you how to grind aspects on the tournament realm is you go to the vendor.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's definitely one of the most frustrating things about playing an alt. I'm not a very alt heavy player, I would say. I've pretty much always played the same character for like 19 years now. So yeah, alts are not my jam. And now that I actually have one, and I'm looking at that character, and I'm like, okay, I only need like 200 more aspects of these and 300 more of these, and then I can upgrade all my gear. And then I'm saying to myself, oh, that's not too bad. And then I do the math, and the math is not kind to me, telling me that I have to run like only 40 more dungeons to actually get all of that.
Only 40 more.
Yeah, only 40. I mean, what's 40
Yeah.
dungeons amongst
And
friends?
at that point, I just log back to my main.
Yep, there you go. Because
Why
you've already
does
done the
this
40 dungeons on your main.
why does this sound like I'm gonna hear Jazzy, Shay, we should make a team.
I mean, I'm not gonna say no.
For the TGP, like you should do
Yes,
it. Like
I've done it a
we
few
have a
times and
team.
it's a lot of fun.
Like we have a team. Like it's Hula and me. We created a team for TGP just for like funsies and actually like to get the banner because like we are not allowed to qualify, and that's the only
Oh,
reason why we don't qualify. By the way,
that's the only
because we
one.
are not allowed.
I believe you.
It's like our team is like Hula and me, and then we have Sierra on board who works for Blizzard, right?
Mhm.
And then we have Cyber. I don't know if people know Cyber,
Yep,
but
I
like,
know Cyber.
and
I've heard the
Faithy,
name before.
and Faithy from Method. So that's our TGP team. And
Nice. That's a stacked team.
it's
That is a stack
MDI,
team.
like, right? Let's
Mhm.
call it as our banner team because we play
Exactly.
MDI and TGP, and it's always like the best time. Like we meet for just like the 2 banner rounds, pretty much because like most of us are pretty busy, so we can't invest too many hours into playing that. But it's always so much fun. Like it's literally you just sit there, you are cry laughing, you are yelling. There are always weird sounds going on in Discord, right? It's so much fun. Like really
It
do it
is.
if you can.
It really is a lot of fun because I don't want to say overpowered, the ability to have all the best gear and you just realize like, oh wait, no, I really can do like these amazingly high keys because I have all the gear that I don't need to grind for, and then I can go over to the goblin and say, hey, give me 50,000 gold, and he says here.
Exactly. He says no problem. There you go.
I always was curious about that. On the tournament realm, the NPC you get gold from is a goblin. And if there's anything I know about goblins is that that's not going to happen. I, is it just me or is that weird?
It is weird because goblins.
Yeah. Oh god. Sorry. Squirreled again. Um, so speaking of MDI and TGP, which one do y'all prefer?
That's a very
Oh,
loaded question.
that's
I
a
It's a
let me
it
rephrase.
is, yeah.
Which one do y'all
Pico, you
prefer
wanna go
to
first while I try to
participate
let
in?
this simmer in my head a bit?
Which one
Oh,
do you like
participate.
to participate in more? Do you find the race more fun or the pushing more fun?
I
I
Purely
would,
fun.
yeah, I would go for pushing.
Yeah.
When I play in Plus, I definitely prefer the pushing aspect of it on retail at least. Although I haven't really pushed keys since BFA. But they both have their advantages and disadvantages, I would say. I would argue that from a viewer perspective, the TGP is probably more easy to relate to, whereas MDI is obviously a lot more binary in the sense that if there's like one mistake, then you kind of know that, unless the other team also makes a mistake, you kind of know the outcome of the game at that point, right? If there's a wipe and okay, it's over now. Whereas if
Yeah.
a TGP, if a team has to just reset their dungeon, then obviously, they lost a little bit of time. Sometimes they lose a lot of time, but there's still a realistic shot for them to still get any placement they desire. And so, yeah, obviously, because most people on retail play to push as well. Yeah, I would argue that TGP is probably more enjoyable for the viewers, whereas MDI, from the people that we've spoken to, maybe I don't know if you would agree on this, Pico, but I think the players typically prefer MDI. Some of them at least do.
Yeah. Players, funnily enough, like the MDI a bit more than TGP. I agree. Like as a viewer itself, just from my POV, I enjoy watching the TGP more. Like I had a conversation with someone about TGP versus MDI, and he was like, "Oh, MDI is so exciting!" And well, it was just some weeks ago, and in that sense, I would say, yeah, of course, if you have a season of MDI like we just had in season 3, where you had actually quite some teams who were super strong, and I mean, we saw it, right? Echo lost finally. Sorry, Echo, but like I was
No,
pretty happy that
you
you
had a
didn't.
good run for what, 12
You had a good
seasons
run.
in a row? Chill. It's fine.
Exactly. And it's like I
Fine.
had to agree. If you just take season 3 MDI, it was exciting to watch. But if you take all the seasons of MDI, I would say average is like it's just not as exciting to watch because often it's just, you know, the team weekends are often okay, you have rank 1 versus rank 16, right? Of a team. So that's often kind of a slaughter. Sorry to say, but it's like you have a super strong team versus a team that made it into the top 16 or whatever and was like, okay, cool. And often it's a team that is new to it. So I get that it's a bit more challenging if you have to play against Echo in your first match, right? It's like, oh my god. But
Can you
it comes
imagine? I
down
made the
to
16. Oh no, I'm against Echo.
it's like, yeah, yeah, we
Uh-oh.
made it, right? And it's like, okay, your first match is versus Echo, and you're like, oh yay,
Oh, we had
finally
a good
made
run, guys.
Ruh-roh, Shaggy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think typically we've seen on the first day, like each of the 3-day events was always the first day would be like Pico just said, like first highest seed against lowest seed. It was very rare to ever get it to 2-1, like match that actually went all 3 matches.
Yeah.
Or rather a series that went all 3 matches. Almost all of them were very decisive and foregone conclusion, like 2-0s in favor of the higher seeded team. I think the amount of upsets can probably count that on like one hand over the last. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah.
almost 10 years, right, since Legion at this point.
Oh
So
God, don't remind me.
God, has Legion been
yeah,
around that long?
Oh God.
yeah. I was actually shocked when I realized that Legion has been quite some years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Wow. I
Sorry,
can't
we're
believe
just
it's
having
been that
existential crisis
long.
here.
Look, I got an alpha invite for vanilla. I look back and I'm like, I've spent that long of my life playing this game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
imagine.
That was a long time
Oh,
ago. But you know what though? I wouldn't have it any other way. I've made a lot of really, really good friends playing this game. And and never thought I'd find myself in a guild that I was in for how long have I been here? 7.5 years, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I never
Longer
thought
than
I'd
I
find
have.
myself. Yeah, I didn't join that far ahead of you.
Not much, but still longer than I have.
I wouldn't have it any other way though.
No,
Same.
I love my guild. I love my people.
you
I've
love your
been with
Jazzy.
this.
Let's be honest here. It's me. That's the only reason.
I've been with the same raid team since I joined the guild.
I can't say that. I've been on technically 3 different
You were
ones.
on Immortal first, right?
It was Imperium,
Was
which
it
changed
Imperium?
into Immortal, and then Empire.
That's
All
still
the
pretty
things.
good though, right? Like swapping
Yeah,
raid teams on average every 2 to 3 years. I think there's a lot of players who do so much more regularly and much more
y-
often.
yeah. We have. We're like Shay said. We're one of the. I think we're technically number 2, and it bothers me to say that, but we're technically number 2 in the guild. As far
Oh
as
yeah.
ranking. Uh, but
You were number one for the longest time though.
yeah, we thanks to Blizzard extending Hall of Fame Jailer, we actually got Hall of Fame Jailer technically with the achievement
I mean,
in Sepulcher, and that was that we
all
waited
the
9 days
things.
straight to get it because the deadline was coming.
Oof.
Oh boy.
No,
Yeah.
thank
Oh
you.
wow,
So
okay.
so so you had your own little Race for World
Y-
for Sepulcher experience there?
Yep, it was great. I definitely didn't lose any sanity at all.
Oh
Nope.
Lord,
Yeah.
like that takes me back to frickin' Muru in Sunwell.
Yeah.
I was in I think OMG was world top 50 at that point in time. We killed Muru pre-nerf. Oh my, like that
Nice.
fight was just oh my god.
Oh, it's a horrible fight.
It was head wall
Oh.
and then hope that in phase 2 that
Dude,
somehow everybody would stay alive just
we
like 3
had
more seconds.
we had when the boss died, we had one tank alive. But
Yep.
That's
we
good.
killed it. That's all that matters.
I can say that we had a closer
Oh,
on my current team. We had a closer kill with Smolderon.
Jesus Christ, Smolder on.
Because
Is no
everybody
one
had
alive?
died. Everybody had died except the holy priest was in her angel form and her dots were still
Oh.
ticking, and that's what killed the boss. So
Those are the greatest ones by far for sure.
technically nobody was alive at the end, but the boss died
She
0.4 seconds first.
hey, as long as that angel form was alive, it counts, okay?
Counted. It counted. So we're like, how did that happen? I'm not complaining. I'm just curious.
Yeah,
It
I think there's
just
something with the
did.
boss just not recognizing the angel form as like a proper player death until like
Yep.
a couple of seconds into the duration.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, there are worse things
uh,
that could happen.
yeah, that was Smolderon. Anyway, sorry. We have sufficiently squirreled pretty hard here. Um, so both of y'all prefer the TGP as far as a playing and from a watching standpoint. I would agree. I love the TGP. The MDI has a lot of pass fail, like Sully said. I remember this past season, how many Atoll Desires were made or lost because somebody missed the gate back up to snap stuff up to the
Yeah.
top, right? Like that kind of
I
thing.
mean, that's just a skill issue, right?
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
totally a skill
that's a
issue.
total skill issue for sure.
Get good and suck less. Um,
I remember we made a video about like we have snapshots etc. right as video content now, and we were using an Ataldasar and we were showing a failed gateway during a match in that video, and I think it was mandatory because I remember Stove actually messaged us was like, "What did I do to you to deserve that?"
Hey,
or
all press
stove.
is good press, right?
Exactly.
Hey, you know what? Be happy you're getting shared.
Yeah.
Or stove. Uh,
It's the entire MDI to me has always fallen a little bit flat simply because there were too few exciting matches to me. Whereas the
Yeah.
entire system, the way that the TGP is set up with all the teams playing simultaneously, and you consistently get, updates on their current score and how they match up to each other. That was always pretty exciting. I will say this, though, that with the changes that Blizzard has made now to the format for both the MDI and the TGP, where they cut down on the amount of teams that would qualify coming out of the Proving Grounds, because it used to be 18 teams, right? It used to be 24 teams, if I remember correctly.
24, yeah.
Yeah, so and it was 3 groups of, like, 8 teams each, and now they've dialed it back to just 2 groups instead. And that ended up with us getting a lot of really close 2-1 matches and even upsets during the group stage already. And that
Yep.
endeared the MDI to me a lot more than the previous versions, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's
So
Yeah.
I might
why
actually change my
say,
mind on the MDI versus TGP side of things now that the group stage matches themselves are also way more interesting because, yeah, I mean, without disparaging any of the teams, that barely make it out of the Proving Grounds, but um, the the better teams are meeting each other earlier into the tournament, or rather the teams that are the most likely to actually take home like a top 3 finish, and that just naturally leads to us getting way more exciting matches.
Yeah, that's why I said, right, season 3, if you just take the MDI in season 3, I would agree that MDI is quite exciting because it was, because of the changes. I still don't want to compare it too much yet because we have some changes for this coming TGP as well.
Yep.
So I'm pretty excited to see what that does to the format.
So the changes other than the reduction of team, is that something that you can talk about, or are they still a hush-hush?
No, it's like not even the reduction of the teams, as they made changes in the rules for the TGP, right? Like you have, for example, teams now have to play 1 tank, 1 healer, 3 DPS. So
No more 4 dips, no heal
no more 4
strats.
DPS,
Yeah.
exactly. Or there's another change they made where in the grand finals, the first 2 days, so Friday and Saturday, no team gets eliminated, right? So we have all 6 teams in the finals weekend until Sunday.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
going to be really cool. Because I remember last time, I think it was mandatory who got knocked out like super early.
Yeah, on the first day because they were unlucky.
Exactly, first day. And with the way that the TGP works, there's always this moment of there was always this problem of the TGP obviously being about pushing keys as high as you can, but then a lot of value just how in the way that how the tournament works was in ensuring that as you play up your key, because obviously you don't get them at like plus 32 from the get-go. They start at like 23, 24 sometimes. And there was a lot of value in 3 chesting. We come back to this term again, right? In 3
Mhm.
chesting the dungeon or just 2 chesting. Because it may end up saving you to instead of needing to play 4 keys to get to the highest possible one, for example, that you can do, you only had to play 3. And that naturally just saved you 30 minutes of not having to run the dungeon a 4th time. And yeah, we actually saw a lot of teams getting eliminated, a lot of promising teams getting eliminated in TGP in previous events, simply because they failed 1 or 2 of those runs, like those 25s, and they missed the 3 chest by like 4 seconds. And that just ended up costing them so much time, that they ended up getting eliminated on the first day because they just were 1 point short, even though they were potentially the most promising team of the group.
What I
Yeah, just
also like,
because they missed a 3 chest timer by 4 seconds.
yeah,
Like, they're still timing it, they're still pushing it, but yeah.
Yep.
yeah, but if you just like miss it by a second or 2, right, you still had like you wasted basically 20, 25 minutes because you want that 3 chest
Yep.
as
You
long
want
as
that
possible.
28 key to turn into plus
Exactly.
30 key and not the 27 key that you can't really 3 chest anymore. They'll then turn into 29, so you have to play
Exactly.
another one to get to 30. It's
You
just
just lose so much time.
when you have to
Yep.
play 4 dungeons, you only have 5 hours, having to play all of these dungeons at least 3 times. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of pushing left, at least for the first day. But now that the teams know, at least for the grand finals, that they don't get eliminated, it's not as much of a deal breaker because, yeah, you don't have to worry about the individual scoring on each day, but only the final one. And I think that'll get us the most exciting TGP that we've ever had, just like we just had the most exciting MDI that we've ever had. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What I
like
also
Picco said.
like is
Sorry, go ahead.
the third change they get into TGP now, right? Is that day one only has 3 dungeons now instead of 4 that we used to have. So on a Friday they only get 3 dungeons that I have to prepare and push. On the Saturday we get 2 more dungeons instead of only 1. So I think that makes also for a better format and more exciting matches.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
will be some
getting
actual
some
pushing on the
focus.
first day instead of just
Yeah.
playing
Yeah.
with keys.
That's good. I like that. Speaking of the dungeons themselves, since we have all the Dragonflight dungeons for this TGP
Yep.
now, instead of mixing in some of the old content stuff that they rehashed, which dungeon is y'all's favorite? And please don't say Ruby Life Pools.
But it is kind of Ruby Life Pools because it's a fast-paced dungeon. It's a short dungeon. It's like a pretty challenging dungeon. I like that in a dungeon when it's challenging but also short. I am not a fan of those super long dungeons. Like when a dungeon time is already set to, you deplete after 42 minutes, I'm like, oh, I almost swear. Like, it's like, oh, please no. I think Ruby Life Pools is one of my favorites in that dungeon pool. I also like Academy.
Academy's good. I like Academy a lot. I like Academy for the very first pull that you do, which is, everything. Although my
Yeah,
DPS don't
that's
like it.
usually when my PC decides to, nope, I'm out of here, and it just everything freezes, and I'm like, are you done with the pull? Are you done with the pull? I don't see anything. Nothing happens.
I'm just running around so I don't die to the puddle on the ground. No. Sally, what about you? What's your favorite?
It's weird because I look at this pool of 8 dungeons and then I read the names and then I feel that this pool only has 3 dungeons. Because there's 5 in them where I think we could almost universally, like, we could all take a piece of paper right now and we could write down the 5 least favorite dungeons in that pool and we'd all write the same thing, I reckon.
Most likely.
Potentially.
Because we're left with Ruby Life Pools, Azure Vault, and Academy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are definitely the most popular and
Because
most
no
favorite.
one, like Brackenhide, Knockwood, Olderman, Neltharis, Halls of Infusion, I don't think I've met someone yet who really likes any of those dungeons. So it would definitely come down to those 3 for me as well. One of those
Halls
3.
is not horrible.
Halls is not horrible if you're not the healer on that third boss.
I just hate that dungeon. Like, no offense to whoever made that dungeon, etc. I just no.
It's one of those dungeons where
no.
it's like, not every trash mob, not every NPC in the instance has to have like 3 separate abilities and all of them hurt
Right?
very, very badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine to just be an NPC. It's
It's
yeah.
okay to just be a health pool that we have to chew
Yeah.
through. It's fine.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll take a health pool that we have to chew through.
Especially at the start of Halls of Infusion, there are so many things that
Oh
have
my
to be
God.
interrupted, and otherwise you just it's so much.
Freaking
It's too much.
Azure Vault and those flowers.
Oh, I just
I don't mind
Yeah,
the flowers.
so that would actually be my answer as far as favorite dungeons goes. With a little caveat because I really, really like Azure Vault, but not the version that we have now. I think the season 1 Azure Vault that we had was incredible. Apologies in case you the cat
that's
yelling
all
at me in
right.
the background.
Cats are allowed.
You're okay. You probably hear one of mine at some point.
Yeah, because Azure Vault had so many different routes with, the different platforms and how would people try to snap certain trash mobs onto them or just skip through some of them and then play the dungeon a little bit in reverse. There was a lot of alternating strats there and tiny min-maxes, and unfortunately, they got rid of most of them.
Yeah.
By
Yeah, you
just
can't do the
introducing a
jump
kill
skip
box so
anymore.
you couldn't skip straight down to the last 2 bosses anymore. I think that actually, in terms of just the strategizing, the routing, made the dungeon slightly less interesting.
I agree. I think you should let the players figure out from the multitude of strats that you could find, whether that's going backwards or doing all the frogs or doing none of the frogs or jumping down and skipping or not or snapping or anything like that. Let the players find quote unquote their preferred route. I don't see why that needed to be changed, but I'm crazy and also not a developer,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, it's
You're great.
because I look at the dungeons at the end of the day. To me, the most exciting part about TGP and MDI is always these little like pocket strats that some teams hold
Mhm.
back to as long as possible, or that they reveal for the first time. Sometimes, we look at the leaderboards for the proving grounds and we see like, hey, there's like two teams that are like a minute and a half faster than everybody else. What did they do? Like what strategy
Yeah.
did they figure out that the other teams didn't? And will they show it off
Right.
during the group stages, or will they hold on to it for as long as possible to have that in their pocket still when it comes to the final couple of games in the or in the global finals? And with the way that the dungeons are set up, I'm not sure how much there is there to really work with to have
Yeah.
a lot of these tricks. But hopefully we'll be surprised by the teams anyway.
I mean, if anybody's gonna find out where to do some weird shenanigan tech thing, it's gonna be Echo. Let's be honest here. They'll find something. There's
There's
something in there.
some really big brains on the other teams too, though. Like I always feel
I
that
also want to say that,
Maystein. Sorry, go ahead, Pico.
it's like, yes, Echo has some 200 IQ people, but they also are just a team that often is a team to show off a strat first because just of the schedule of the games.
Yep.
And they are making use of strats that they didn't come up with, but other
Oh,
teams.
I'm sure.
So, which is known. Like, I think Maris is the one who talks about it the most because he's quite humble and he's like, I like that he's like, I really appreciate that you like that strat, but we didn't come up with that, right? So there are a lot of 200 IQ people in the different teams, like,
Oh yeah.
and they spend 12 to 14 hours on the TR just running around in dungeons and be like, okay, could that work? Could that work? What
Yeah.
is that? What if we do that? What happens then?
It's always funny when you see some of the teams are done with their practice, but one or two of them, typically the tank, or in Mandatory's case, it's typically Maystein. They're gonna be in that dungeon or in different dungeons for like 3 more hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just testing.
And that they're cooking at that point.
Yeah.
That's always super exciting because it's really fun to see these strats, not just because obviously it's something new to watch, but then there's also this wait for the other teams. Okay, how they're going to react to it, right? Like you see something done on like on a Friday, and then the question is, will the teams have picked it up by Saturday? And some teams
Yeah.
do, some teams don't. Sometimes, like we've seen it in MDI this time around, there were some teams that managed to emulate a strategy that was shown just 24 hours earlier, and they did it really well. And it actually gave them an edge because of how quick they were able to adapt their already planned route and actually execute the strategy that they've probably never seen before to perfection. And
Yeah.
that adds another layer of just how good these people actually are at playing dungeons, playing M+. That was kind of absent in previous versions, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for the upcoming TGP. I will probably be making a team and just getting on the tournament realm because it's way too much fun to not, and I like my banners.
You like your banners?
Yeah. But what about, let's talk predictions a bit. With the key level scale that season 4 brought in of basically tens being, quote unquote cap, at least for gear. They made them a fair amount harder, basically just curtailing the super high numbers. What key level are we expecting, or what's the highest key level that we're thinking will be happening during the TGP? Are we gonna get into 30s?
No, but
I
I
didn't think
would
so.
think 24, maybe 25 max.
24, 25? Okay.
I mean,
I
that's
just pulled it
still
up because I
pretty
was
high.
curious. Right now on live, the highest keys are
21,
21s.
exactly. And that's mostly a vault.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
one random Nakud in there, and I'm just going, what?
yeah, it's actually it's going to be interesting because a large chunk of the dungeons that we see on retail right now, the way that they're being played, you cannot play them that way on TGP.
Yeah, because you
Right.
can't go out of the dungeon.
Yeah, like because Azure Vault, obviously, a lot of teams either go full DPS or they just clear, like in Knockout, for example, the go-to strat is clear all the trash with 4 DPS, and then you have like a druid, a healer who plays DPS for most of that time, and then they go out and they spec healer, and then you just do a boss rush of all the bosses back to back to back. You can't do that on TGP. Then we have other teams that just go full 4 DPS the entire dungeon. Can't do that either. So
It's kind of
yeah, it's
same with Vault, right? Like the healer
yeah.
is mostly a Restitute that goes boomy for some amount of the dungeon and just goes out and then, okay, now it's healing time.
Yeah. So I'm guessing like 23 is probably the highest that we'll see.
Okay. I
Because
mean,
again, yeah, I just don't know where the limit is for the teams when they have to actually play the dungeon as
yeah,
intended. Isn't really the correct term I'd pick for this, but yeah, having to
wi-
play the dungeon from start to finish without anybody going out, without anybody respecking.
within the rules of TGP.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they can't go 4 DPS from start to finish
Right.
because of
yeah.
the change.
So the one thing that I'm mostly worried about is at the moment, as far as predictions goes, is I think we will see very little comp variation.
I highly doubt there will be any comp variant. I mean, we saw it with the MDI too. Everybody ran the pretty much exact same comp. I think they maybe swapped one DPS for a shaman every now and then. Like,
Yeah.
mm, yeah,
There
but
were some
everything
teams that
else.
had great success with a rogue, for example, as well in MDI last time around. They had like crazy fast timers as well,
Mhm. I
and
mean,
there
Rogue
was
for the
some swapping
MDI
of
gives
tanks
you
depending on
Shroud.
dungeon. But yeah,
Yeah, Rogue gives you Shroud, which I think is highly undervalued in a lot of those situations. I love Shroud, but mm, I'll let the professionals do it. I just work here again.
yeah. Other than that, as far as predictions goes, I don't know, Pico, who do you think is gonna take it home?
It's hard to tell. Like, obviously, you have that one team. Like, I think Echo will come back stronger than they are known to be
Yeah, I think
because
they're out for blood too.
losing the MDI, like, Echo has very competitive players, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially Chinchi, for example. Like, he doesn't like to lose. So I'm pretty sure that Echo will prepare the heck out of TGP to be stronger than ever. So they will be a pretty dangerous team to face. I hope that Mandatory just keeps showing up as strong, maybe even stronger than they did in season 3.
Yeah,
Because,
I've always liked
I mean,
mandatory.
as the current champions, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have something to lose, so I hope they just keep pumping. And I'm always a fan of a team that you didn't have on the radar that just shows up and is like, ta-da! Here we are, right?
Guess what?
Guess
Dumpster fire is
what,
here.
Oh
bitches?
my god.
Sorry for that, but like, guess what, bitches? Here we are. Um, I love Perplexed.
I do too.
That's the team I really love, and it always hurts me kind of when I see not making it top
Yeah.
1
Yeah,
because
when
they
they're
have it, right? Like,
yeah.
Perplex is a team, like, they have what it takes to win, but sometimes they get lost on the way to that, right? And it always hurts me because I love that team so much. So I would love to see them shine in TGP this season.
Yeah, when Perplex is pulling another Perplex, you're just kind of
Yeah.
not again. Why? Because they always look so promising. Even just coming out of the proving grounds, they consistently have been the team to actually match Echo's performance in the proving grounds already,
Yeah.
which goes to show that, especially when it comes to some of these secret strategies, they actually come up with these strategies like in the same way. So there's a lot of parallels there, I think, between those two teams. It's just one team just managed to be more consistent than the other. Yeah, I do agree with what Pico said, where it's like there's probably going to be one or two teams that no one has on their radar right now. We know that there's a couple of free agents from other teams that will not be competing in this TGP. We're not with signups not having been finished yet, we also don't know if there's some shuffles on some of the teams. Some of the teams we know that there are some replacements for players, or not replacements, or rather bringing in new people. So
yeah, like I already saw like 3 teams that look promising. Like we have, for example, the team that is at least for now known as Last Hope. So I don't want to say the dorky team, because I feel it's always like disrespectful to the rest of the players if you say that's the dorky team, that's the Dr. J team, whatever, right? Like, but like Last Hope, for example, has a swap in the healer. They got Alismere in for this TGP. So I'm kind of excited to see that and how they do. There is a team, the name doesn't promise that it's a good team because it's the Pineapple Pushers. But they have a show from Echo in it. They have Onesie and they have Sassy. And those are pretty big players.
Those are definitely some heavy hitters.
Yeah, as long as they're not pushing pineapple on my pizza, I'm gonna be fine.
Pineapple pizza is awesome. And
it's
yeah,
wonderful.
there's another team that is called Miscount that you would think maybe a banner team, right? But it's actually part of Eclipse, and they have 2 new players. So I'm kind of excited to see how they do.
So there's several teams that seem to be a bit stacked. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It's coming up here quickly, and yeah, I'll be
I do think
watching
Echo
for
is
sure.
going to win though.
I have a feeling that you're correct. When they lose once, they're out for blood, and they will.
It's not even that. It's Echo is doing something that I don't think they've done ever before, which is they're actually playing retail keys together right now.
What?
Which is kind of
Yeah, they're
something.
pushing.
Yeah, like they're actually pushing keys on retail, which typically they haven't really done. Like the only people on the team that consistently have been pushing outside of MDI were Now and Genji. And the others kind of just, stepped up for MDI, for TGP every single time. It's very similar to what Divine Field and Shine have been doing for Perplex as well. They're not really pushing retail all that much, or at least in the past they haven't. They just come for MDI. They say, here we are, we still got it, and then they usually get like a really good finish as well. But Echo has been playing within their actual team comp now for at least a couple of weeks already.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're practicing. And that's probably very, very scary.
Yeah.
They're coming back.
Another team I'm kind of excited for to see how they do is, I don't know the team name yet, but like it's a team with Dr. J and the Mike. They are pushing as the TGP team for weeks now as well to get more synergy. I think they are playing with Shaylei and Reuben, right? I don't know who the 5th is, but like I want to see them do well this season, because like they played together in the MDI season 3 without Reuben, and they did not too bad, I want to say. I mean, they were the team who won against Echo in one round, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I want to see what they can do now that they are playing together almost every day. Because
I think Shaylei only came in as a stand-in, right? They didn't actually have that team initially, so Shaylei only came in short notice as a stand-in, and they.
No, actually, it was the other way around. So it was planned that he plays, but then him and Reuben went on vacation exactly before all of that happened for 4 days, right? So he couldn't play. He came back like I think on the final day. And then there was not much.
Okay, so they practiced with somebody else, but Shaylei was always supposed to. Yeah. Either way, I mean, they have the time now to actually practice prior to the event.
Yeah.
I think it's really good that Blizzard was very like gave everybody a heads up very early on when this would be happening, so people could really plan their time and potentially vacations around the TGP. So yeah, I think this will easily be the most competitive TGP we've ever had.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I always love TGP, and I just like M plus in general too. So but let's move on. Let's switch it up a little bit here and talk about the PvP, which, if you know me, is just my number one interest. Totally.
Not.
um, so I think we just had the AWC
Yeah.
or going to have it.
No, we just finished like
Just
the weekend
finished it.
before this weekend. Yeah, had
Right. Okay.
events.
Um, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time it's been hosted by Raider.io. Is that correct?
Hosted as in we are the tournament platform for it. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So previously it was done by the whole platform was correct me if I'm wrong. It was Game Battles, and it just recently
Correct.
switched over because Game Battles, for lack of a better word, folded. So
Hmm.
now Raider.io is just handling the tournament platform for TGP, MDI, and AWC, right?
Yeah, correct.
Whew, I bet that's been fun.
It's been a fun challenge for sure. And journey. Because like when you know Red.io, you know, okay, so far we had Mythic Plus and rating, right?
Hmm.
And when Blizzard approached us and was like, hey, how about you also become the tournament platform for the AWC? It was like,
Okay.
okay. Uh,
Sure.
it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
it was
sorry,
definitely a
go ahead.
challenge for our devs, right? Because like that was something they had to come up with and build from zero, right? Because like it's PvP that needs some different systems and brackets than MDI, for example.
Yeah. I joke. I don't PvP. The last time I PvP'd was to get my cloak in Mop,
Yeah.
and that was just to get my cloak in Mop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the last time I quote PvP was in Thunderstorm, avoiding everyone running around and just mind my own business.
Yep.
Like I'm not good with PvP. Like, oh, PvP makes me very angry. Let's put it that way, and that makes people I play with PvP uncomfortable. Like I remember back in, oh my god, I think at Mist of Pandaria, I think it was.
Oh my gosh.
I had a guildie and friend tell me, okay, you know what, Sabrina? We can either play PvP together or we stay friends. Because it
That's me
makes me so mad. It makes me so mad playing PvP.
too. I become a completely different person in an arena.
Yeah.
Oh
You
my
don't
god.
like Jazzy in an arena. Jazzy doesn't like Jazzy in an arena. Whew. Yeah,
I
it's
mean, that's kind of why when we did the 10th anniversary thing back in December, Shay and Jazzy commentated for the PvP deathmatch and didn't
yep.
participate.
No. We were flying up in the air going, "Oh, look, somebody's oh no." Yep.
It's definitely it seems to bring out the worst in people sometimes.
Yeah. I will say
Um,
I do enjoy watching the AWC every now and then. I'm not like hyper
Oh yeah.
competitive or really into the scene, but I like watching it every now and
It's been a blast.
Watching is fine.
then. Yeah.
It's different than playing.
Watching the healer go and everybody's still alive somehow. I'm like, how are you doing that? What is going on?
yeah,
Yeah.
Somebody ate their Wheaties.
Yeah, right? So
it's definitely crazy to watch, like the level of coordination, and it's hard to grasp for anybody. So even the casters are having, like, the very experienced casters are sometimes having a hard time really catching all the little things that go into it.
yeah.
Which is coincidentally very similar to the MDI as well, because it's highly technical and in how every single pull is set up, and everybody knows exactly what they have to do. But trying to catch all of that as a commentator is very difficult.
Yeah,
But
shout out to the commentators, which are amazing and wonderful, but also the production crew that has their little characters following everybody constantly. I don't know how you guys keep track of everything, but good job. Holy crap. When you have the watchers flying around following people through the dungeons and everything, A plus job there.
yep.
Um, speaking of the Blizzard production team. How's it been working, I guess, more directly with Blizzard specifically? Have they been helpful? Have you noticed? Have they been imposing or kind of throwing their weight around, or has it been just a fantastic environment?
Well, basically, the team has been working with Blizzard for a long time already, even back in 2017 for the first MDI. Radar.io already existed, right? And they were hosting the tournament brackets, proving grounds, and all the tracking that went on around it. So I think at this point, it's a well-oiled machine when it comes to the coordination with the people at Blizzard.
That's
Doing
good.
the new tournament platform, which is, because we've been talking about it up until now, like all the signups and everything, like it's an entire platform that is not only there to be used in collaboration with Blizzard for the MDI, TGP, and AWC, but also like for community events, right? They can also use like reach out to Radar.io and can use this platform to host their own little events.
Actually, they can reach out to me because I'm the event
Yep,
manager,
that
right?
is
So
Pico. So if you ever want to run like an Mythic Plus or even PvP event, and want to leverage the Radar.io platform for that, and the Radar.io sign-up system and everything, Pico is your gal.
That
I mean,
is
And
fantastic.
I
yeah,
talk to Pico every time we do
something
a
that was
streamathon.
built in collaboration with Blizzard.
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, like in general, I feel like working with Blizzard has been even better now that we are official partners, so to speak. Like the communication is going well, it's smooth, it's like quite open. As weird as that might sound. But like it's a very like on same level base, I would say. Um and I want to shout out our devs because like getting that event platform and tournament platform going and ready was quite a challenge, and just want to say they worked so hard on it that Pell, one of our main devs, um went he was at BlizzCon with the team, and every minute he was not out at BlizzCon at an event or mixer or anything, he would be in his hotel room on his laptop working on the platform.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
Oh.
the amount of passion that people have here for the game and for the services that they want to provide to the community and just for everything that they do is that was like when I joined the team, that was the one thing that immediately sprang out of me. It's just everybody just exudes this passion for the game from the social media to the overall management to the developers who are tinkering with the website in the back end and all the new features and stuff. It's been a very exciting journey to become a part of it as well. I think it's probably one of the luckiest breaks I've ever caught in my life. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can definitely second that shout out to all the people at Radar.io, the devs in particular, when it comes to the tournament platform. It's outstanding what the people have been able to get started and finish in such a short time span under sickness and vacation times and everything. People almost to an unhealthy level sometimes commit to meeting milestones and everything.
I can
I
tell
have
you
to, I
from
have
the
to
user
admit,
standpoint, it is fantastic. I wonderful and seamless and easy and great. So yes, you devs did great job, wonderful, and this is somebody who's not getting paid.
and it's like a very small team. We have to add that like the Radar.io team itself has grown a lot, but like we are still quite a small team, I would say, right? And our dev team is very small. Like
Yep.
they are amazing. And I have to admit, like when I started at Radar.io and the first weeks and months, it's more like you observe because you want to see, okay, how is everything working and who is doing what and how do they work, etc. I have to admit, I thought Cha, our boss, is a robot because like he seems to be up 24/7. Like he is working constantly. Like I don't know how he does it, but I was like, he must be a robot or some kind of that. Like because I can't make up my mind about that how he does it. He is an actual machine.
Well,
Oh, man.
Yep.
everything
And
y'all
I
do is
sometimes think that
fantastic.
about Pico. So it's definitely uh yeah, again, like the amount of time that people are just willing to commit. is absolutely crazy.
Well,
It's a
Yeah.
very passionate team. Like each single one who's working there is very passionate, and everyone is also like just like the rest of the community. We are all also gamers, right? All of us. Some are on a higher level. They push the highest keys, like Sadie, for example, or QB. Play maybe TGP if they can. Some just do the lower keys or so. Some play most likely more classic, but every single one in the team is a gamer, and I think that's what makes Red.io partly also so great, because like we all love the game. We all know what could be cool for the community, what could be improved, and there's so much love for the game and so much love for the community and passion. It's just like it's almost unfair to get paid for what we do there.
almost,
Yeah.
almost.
But almost. Like
I mean, we do the things and we don't get paid.
We should fix that.
I mean, that's how it starts, right? At the end of the day, I
that's how it starts,
remember,
yeah.
yeah, like I'm guessing Pico probably didn't get paid, at least not initially, when she started doing all the moderating for all the different big streamers
No,
and
not
everything.
at all.
And then like again, just like looking at my path when I was doing like providing some information to the community. No one paid me for that either, but it's for the people who are really excited about the community and about WoW as a game. Honestly, like without wanting to like actively give advice or anything, but uh, people notice that. Like sometimes it may feel, maybe as a content creator or as someone who tries to do events and stuff, that sometimes it may feel like you're not actually getting recognized for it, but people do, and it can lead to great things in the future as well. In many cases.
Yeah,
It
like when I
definitely
did like a lot of moderating stuff, and so it feels like most people don't even know me or what I do, right? And then just like I think it was this year, a couple of months ago or so, when someone from the community actually came up or actually put it out on Twitter and was like, I see you. I see what you did even before you joined Red.io. I see how much work you put into all of that, right? And just reading that and being aware of, okay, even if it's one person, right? It makes your whole day and week and month. It's just so awesome.
It
it's also for that one person that actually said something, there's thousands of people that just have noticed but haven't said
but
anything.
haven't said
Yep.
anything.
Yeah,
So yeah, the recognition and the what's the term, the attaboys, the just it feels so good to be recognized, and
yeah,
you absolutely have earned every ounce of it, 100%. The website, the platform, everything is just top tier. Um, so that's
Thank you.
fantastic.
thank
Uh,
you.
and if anybody likes or agrees with that statement, y'all got a Patreon, right?
We do.
Yes.
Show them some love. Again, the thing will be in the doobly doo down below, a link. Uh, but I know I'm a patron because y'all earn it. And it's fantastic stuff. So, greatly appreciate it. Um, you also recently put out a what'd you call it? A year in review on YouTube. I realize that we're halfway through the next year, but
I think we've already shared the link for that to the guild, haven't we?
we may have, but
I
we
know,
can still
my
do it.
social
Okay.
media team has posted it. More than happy to post it again.
Yeah.
Um, I know they did because I'm the one that gave it to them to post.
Oh, well, then they definitely did it. They do not go against Shay, the slave driver. No, no,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
no.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm a slave driver too. That's why I've got such a good team.
yeah, that's exactly right. But did y'all have anything y'all wanted to bring up or promote or plug or anything like that? Go
I
ahead,
mean,
Sally.
yeah, obviously, as someone who does a lot of writing for the website, I do hope that people recognize that sometimes, like we've just talked about it. There's a lot more to Radar.io than just the leaderboards. Pico mentioned it earlier. We do YouTube shorts now, or not shorts, but like small videos. So especially for people who may not necessarily know about all the small tricks and skips and snaps that people do sometimes in keys. We do try to cover most, if not all of them. So if you ever want to figure out how to do a certain snapshot, feel free to check out the Radar.io snapshots on YouTube to get an idea. Maybe we've done that specific trick, and then you can find out how to do it yourself within like 30-40 seconds. And yeah, the one thing that we always talk about, because it's so super helpful to us and that ultimately allows us to also provide better tools and features to the community, is the desktop client.
Yeah.
A lot of people obviously are using the add-on within the game, but Radar also has a desktop client which not only automatically updates your add-ons without you having to do anything about it, but it also allows us to live track the data as you play the game. And with that, you can access cool tools like the M+ replay feature, which is, if you ever wanted to have like, if you know the speedrunning community, you know the term, running splits. Comparing your split to the previous run, you can do that with that feature. So there's a lot of cool features and content on Radar.io besides the leaderboard, and we highly encourage people checking it out.
I know that because I just pulled it up to make sure here. You at least had a hand in writing the Mythic Plus 101 stuff too, right?
Yeah. Mythic Plus
That's
101, Rating 101. So
yeah.
yeah, there's
I've
a
read
lot of
all those.
information.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Yeah, like if you catch an article that Shaylei wrote, like you go out 150% smarter than you went in.
Very true.
I also want to add
The
that
bar's low with me, but very true.
I mean, but then I'm right? So
Exactly.
proves my point. I also want to add that with our client, we just recently made it available also for Cataclysm Classic players.
Oh yeah.
And the recruitment system that we have is also now available for Cataclysm Classic players. So use it. It's awesome.
Yep. No, it's there's so many different moving parts. That's why it's always so surprising to me that we managed to do it all with like a relatively small team. Because yeah, obviously, we have the tournament platform now with AWC, or branching out into PvP content, and then there's classic content on top of it. And while also obviously doing more improvements to recruitment system for all different kinds of things, improving the leaderboard, the add-on, the client. Yeah, there's constantly there's always new stuff coming out. So we're really excited to where the next expansion will take us as well when it comes to both our content as well as all the tools we provide for the community. And hopefully the community will like both the content and the tools and the features.
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
Anytime I hear Radar.io, it's always in a positive light. So y'all are doing
Right.
great work, and it's just fantastic. All the tools, everything is like I said before, top tier and wonderful. So it's
I mean, look, coming from a guild with, what do we have, 1,300 players? I couldn't
yeah.
imagine doing what you guys do with such a small team.
Yeah,
I know
it's
I've got.
actually quite small.
Go
I think
ahead.
we still we still don't understand how we do it either, right, Pico? Like it's like
No, like if you would know, like I mean, we can talk a bit about it. Like Radar.io started with only 2 people, right, back in 2017, and then 2 years later, in 2019, they added 2 more people, which is Tradnos and Vitamin P, our content manager. And in 2020, they added 2 more people. One of them is Hula, who is our general manager now, right? And so if you just take those, it's only 6 people till 2020. If you keep that in mind and what already happened with Radar.io and on the site, etc., with only 6 people,
That's a lot.
insane.
Nowadays we are like what 20 people on stuff that are either employees or contractors.
Yep.
So
Wow.
we tripled kind of in the number, but it's if
But
you think about what we all do, what is all out
still,
there, it's
20 people doing all of that.
yeah,
It's impressive.
That's very impressive. Look, I have 10 people on my social media team, and there are days where I'm like, how are we going to get all this done
yeah,
with just having 10 people? I couldn't imagine doing everything that you guys do with 20 people.
yeah. It's if you go back and like you mentioned the year in review and stuff, and you see what we all did in a year, right? Like
Mhm.
all the events, all the improvements on our side, and what we added and the tournament platform and the client. I think the client now looks so awesome with so much info, right? All in your client. You don't have to do much outside of it anymore. And just thinking like, how did we do that? Like also like just speaking of coverage, for example, like TGP coverage is basically Celia and I. And then we have
Yep.
Marv who does like
Who
background
does some
stuff.
backend tracking and stuff, but for the
Backend,
most
yeah.
part, yeah, like
But
the
for the most part,
MDI.
it's Celia and I
Yeah.
for the whole TGP coverage, right? So we are sitting there from start to finish every weekend, watching all the keys, being like paying attention to what happens, clipping everything that happens that could be interesting. Celia is like a champion, just writing the coverage. Like I'm more like I'm handing all the clips, all the tweets, and stuff like that, right? So,
Yeah, like Picco, like it's a bit of a running gag in the company, but or within the team rather. The Picco basically clips things before they happen. That's how fast she is with these. Like it's gotten to the point where she actually like actively gets annoyed at Discord because the embed doesn't show, like the embed doesn't load because it only loads if the clip has been like active for like 10-15 seconds or something like that. But because she clips so fast, it doesn't actually show. So we don't know what the clip is about. We only see the URL, but we don't know the title of it. It's definitely
Too
crazy.
slow,
To me, the
Discord.
race for World First is always the
yeah,
craziest.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Considering we do like round the clock coverage
yeah,
for the race for
24/7.
World First, so that there's not a single hour where there isn't at least somebody monitoring what's happening. Even if none of the top guilds are raiding, there's always at least 2 people there to keep track of everything and to update if there are any, or if there is anything to update. And we've been doing that with essentially 6 people.
Yeah, 6 people.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
That's a lot.
So
I don't know
yeah.
whether to get like a bed or coffee. I don't know which one would be more beneficial.
The answer is always coffee, Jazzy.
Yeah, but that means they get to work more. Bed means they get to rest.
But to add to that, right, it's like race to first coverage. So we have 2 shifts. It's the U shift and it's the NA shift. So Radar Yo mostly is an NA
Yeah.
based company, right? So it's we don't have many EU people. So race to first coverage looks like Celia and I starting at 9 a.m. in the morning, and we go for 12 hours,
Oof.
basically, right? And then at some point in the afternoon, Lilith comes in and supports us because, well, he has his real life job as well. So usually in the morning he is busy with that. So he joins us in the afternoon for a few hours. But basically, it's like Celia and I EU shift for 12 hours. Then the NA shift comes in, which actually has one EU guy, Starim, but he's like such a deacon, like his schedule is the other way around, right? So he's
Yeah.
awake during night anyway, so he does the NA shift with Hula and Dylan, Eric, our social media manager. And then we have Kat, who is absolutely awesome, and she helps us with putting together all the clips that I make throughout the day or Hula makes throughout the day and puts it all together in a phenomenal script for our video, because during that, while we do the race toward first coverage 24/7 with only 6 people, we also publish a daily recap what happened, right, with all the clips and all the info what happened while other people might have been sleeping.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount of work that goes into it. I would argue an almost unhealthy amount of work.
Almost?
So
Almost?
yeah,
There's question?
yeah. I mean, it's kind of bearable, right? Because you know that the race of Ultras will start off with like 3 days of splits anyway. So it's like, there's not that
Yeah.
much to report on early on, right? This is split number 17. Like this just in, yeah. Somebody got the weapon that they wanted.
But that's also kind of like the challenging part, right? As
Yeah.
soon as they do like splits at the beginning, it's all right. The worst for me is when we are like into the race already for a week or so, and then reset happens, and you are already a week in, 12 hours each day, right? Sometimes it's 14 hours a day. So basically, all we do is coverage, sleep, wake up, coverage, sleep, right?
Yeah.
And then it's
Yeah.
reset, and they decide, you know what, we do 2 or 3 more days of splits because we need more gear. That's the worst for me. Like, it's like, oh my god, please no.
Yeah, it's like like a break in between that you really don't feel like you want at that moment, because you're
Yeah.
like most of the time it is pretty exciting, right? Like obviously we largely, like we watch the streams and everything, and just for people to imagine what that looks like, it looks like we have a multi-twitch on one screen. There's
Yep.
actually a joke about this in a second. I'll get to that, Pico. She already knows what I'm gonna say. So you have like the multi-twitch open on like one stream, and that's like, it's really like 9 or 10 streams, right, from all the different guilds. You want Method on there, Echo, and Liquid at any time, right? And there's usually two to three Chinese guilds that are
Yep.
going pretty hard at it. And then you have at least like Instant Dollars, BDG. Sadly, there are no more, but there was like 3 big NA teams. And it's around like 5 p.m. our time, so around like 8 a.m. ish PST, that all the guilds raid at the same time. There's like a window of like
Yeah.
3 to 4 hours where all the guilds from all the regions, like China is in the last hours of their day because they tend to raid until like 3 to 4 a.m. their time.
Oof,
Um,
that's
but they also
no.
start very late, right? It's just how they operate. And then at the same time, EU is in the middle to second half of theirs, and NA just started. And then all of these guilds are all playing at the same time, and then we're sitting there with like, okay, who takes which stream and everything. And yeah, it's good to have multiple screens for this. So Pico, maybe at some point you can actually get a second screen, because she's
Oh
been
my
doing
god,
all of
Pico.
this
You
with
only
just
have
one
one
screen.
screen.
Pico.
Yes, I do.
What? Pico.
So when I say that she does the clips instantly and posts them in Discord instantly, I don't know how the hell she's doing.
No, okay. Question though. Just, is that one screen 48 inches wide?
No.
What is wrong with you, girl?
How? I have 2 and that's not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been saying the same thing. I was considering getting a third, yeah, and then yeah, Pico
For my
goes, oh yeah,
for
I'm
my
also
day
happy
job,
with my
I
one.
have 4.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
I work from home with 2 and that's not enough.
No. Now I feel bad for you. I'm gonna go buy you a monitor.
don't feel bad. Like, I
If
would
it
say
works, it
this.
works, right?
Yeah,
You-
never
you're not
change
wrong.
the running system, right? Like, it's like, I actually think if I would get a second monitor, I would be lost. That would confuse the hell out
For
of
like
me.
half a day, and then you would
Yeah, for
never
half
go
a
back.
And then
day.
you
Yeah.
never go back.
But yeah, it's like, it's just how it works. Like during Race at first, it's like we often split. You watch this and this and this and this stream. You watch this and this and this stream. But I tend to have just all streams open, just to be able to catch everything, right? And I just do that on one monitor. Like, I catch everything that happens on 12 to 14 streams. I clip it immediately. I link it, and yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
That is impressive on
No
a
one
whole
here
different
does.
level.
That
I
yeah.
Like even in the team, no one understands the enigma that is Pico.
do your eyes act independently? Like they'll just go all over, just like a chameleon, just focus everywhere?
I actually don't know. Maybe I don't know at this point. It's just like, no. I think
Maybe.
the more often you do coverage like that, you get a feeling, right? Like
Oh.
what might happen,
Yeah.
and you get a feeling. Okay, they're on the bus now, and that phase or at that moment, like you get a feeling for when you have to pay a bit more attention to a special guild. I
Mhm.
would say.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, just like that's
it's
probably my eyes going over my monitor and be like, okay,
it's also good that the guilds are running a pretty healthy-ish, maybe
ish.
question
Yeah.
mark schedule when it comes to their rating like race first efforts with like multiple longer breaks as well. So there's
We
often a moment where it's like, okay, method on break now, liquid on break now. So you know that you don't have to watch that for like the next 30 minutes because you know
Yeah.
that they won't be able to be doing anything that is
They'll
relevant to the
be
coverage at that point.
they'll be eating.
Exactly, they'll be
Yeah.
having incredible food.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember watching specifically Liquid,
Oh my
yeah.
god.
with
Like my
their
highlight,
chef.
Whenever Chef Heidi posts
Chef
on
Heidi.
Yeah.
Twitter about what the liquid
I
raiders have to do,
Yeah.
what the liquid raiders get to eat for the
The
day.
menu, like that's
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
highlight of each day during the race world first. Like no
Right.
offense to the guilds and what they do, right? Like you're awesome, but that's my highlight of the day when Chef Heidi puts out the menu for the day for the liquid players, like what they have for breakfast, what they have for lunch, and what they have for dinner. Like and that's my goal. Hello, Liquid, if you are listening. My goal is to make it to be invited to one of your race world first
just so you can have the food.
races. I don't need to do much, or I can help, just like in the background. I can help.
Just give me
I don't
food.
know.
Just give
Get
me the food.
get
Yeah.
drinks to the players, and be like, "Are you okay? Do you need some? Give me the food." Like,
Jeez. I pulled up her Twitter
Oh my
because I wanted to
god.
find like an example menu because they're not only are
Oh
they
my god.
delicious looking, they
they
are all
sound.
thematic and wonderful. Uh yeah, that's a bacon wrap fillet. I would eat that
Oh my
right now.
god.
Um yeah,
You're gonna make
it's
me hungry, Jazzy.
I mean if you were eating this food, I would be hungry no matter what.
I
But yeah.
mean,
And you have like different kind of food. Like you have like options, right, for your
Yeah.
lunch and your dinner. And I heard that like there's always food around. Like they have midnight snacks,
Yep.
which is chicken wings and stuff. And I'm like, please invite me over. Like I swear.
Yeah, but it's also good to see that like how the teams and the guilds are taking this more seriously, like in terms of just making sure that everybody is doing like eating healthy
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
And
making sure that they
getting
take their
sleep.
breaks and everything, because I think
Yeah.
that is something that there's a lot of misconceptions. I feel still about the level of commitment and the race of world force in general. And my initial response to that is always, when people argue, oh yeah, they're raiding like 14 hours a day, that's super unhealthy and everything. And my response to that is always that I feel that most regular WoW players who are not raiding in the race world first probably are doing so in a much more unhealthy way than the people who commit like 2
Yeah.
weeks every 6 months or so to the race world first. Sure, it's a lot to do. It's a lot of very little sleep, but doing it like for a week or two max, like every 6 months, I think is not nearly as bad as people make it out to be.
To
I
be
Yeah.
fair,
mean,
like they have gotten better with also getting the right amount of sleep, right? Like they
Yeah,
try to get at least like 6 to 8 hours every night, which I think is the way to go. Like
yeah.
what's
if
the
you
6
don't
to 8
if you
hours of
don't
sleeping
sleep,
that you're talking about?
It's
The
I
the
it's
mean,
teams
just
definitely
fantasy.
recognized that it is better for them to sleep a little bit longer and make sure that everybody's fully rested than getting people into the raid just for another day. And
I
people
mean,
can only play like 95%.
Yeah.
that's I mean, that's good though that they're at least letting them get sleep. I can remember back in Burning Crusade raiding there, we had a guild on Boulder Fist called Foundation. They would raid nonstop until they killed the content.
Yep.
mhm.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
just looking at some of these people that are in these raids for like 12, 14, 15, 20 hours at a time. And then here we are doing the same content, except for we had a 4-day, 3-hour a night raid schedule. It's like
yeah.
I don't like if they just stepped back a little bit and let their people rest, they would probably be clearing the content in about the same amount of time as us.
Well, I think
Yeah,
Max with Liquid had an excellent analogy with this past race to world first. They had missed, I think, Farok because they had a decision to make. They could either stay later, but people were getting tired and their play was just not where it needed to be, or they could go to bed and come back with the knowledge that Echo was going to start earlier and potentially finish it, right? So it's a
Yep.
bit of a catch-22 of, do we get sleep or do we push, knowing that we're not going to be at top?
Yep.
And they
That's
went to
always the
bed.
Kind of like
gamble.
Yeah,
Russian
that
roulette, right? Because you don't know will Echo actually have it killed
yeah.
when we
You
wake
can
up.
you can wake up to celebration, meaning the other guild didn't kill it yet and they're about to head to bed, or you can wake up to waking up and they actually.
Yeah.
It's
So
also like you can decide that you go for longer because you think you kill it and then nothing happens, right? And then
Right.
right.
you wake up early again after maybe 4 hours of sleep and you are in for the whole day and maybe you still don't get the kill. And this is what kills, I would say, the gameplay of your guild, because like the exhaustion is just so immense. At some point it's just like whatever you try to do, your body is the one that will tell you no, right? Like
Yeah.
at some
Yep.
point you just give up.
At some point, your hands give out.
Go to sleep.
Go
Yeah,
to
like
sleep.
it's where you stop focus because you can't anymore, right? And this is
Yeah.
sleep is one of the most crucial things, I would say, in general, but also when you go into a race like that. Like, don't underestimate that. And I think I remember Max was talking about that, especially when they have new raiders that are new to the race, etc. That's the players he has to talk to the most about, to please go and get your sleep, right?
Yep.
Go to bed now. Get your 8 hours of sleep. You will
Yep.
need it, because they underestimate what toll it takes to actually play for that long time and to needing to be focused all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially at
it's
that level that
I
they
actually
need
did
to
that in
be.
my own raid as well, right? I took a bit of a lesson from that. Like we I don't know how it is for you guys. We raid like 4 hours an evening, and we typically take like a 10 to 15-minute break in between at around
Yeah.
like after around like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's
And
about what we do.
when we got closer to like the actual kill on Farak as well, I literally told people as well, like, when we take this break, I straight up said, guys, actually get up. Right? Like, don't sit here and look at the logs for another 10, 15 minutes and think about the game for another 10, 15
Yeah.
minutes, because then you're not taking a break.
Get up, get
You
some
keep
water,
talking
walk
about the
around.
game and everything. It's detrimental if people don't actually take like even just a 2-minute walk through the apartment, right? And get some
Yeah.
fresh air, maybe splash some water in their face. It does wonders to the mental, and
Yeah.
that ends up helping you play as good in the last 30 minutes as you did in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah,
It's also
especially.
what we tried during coverage, because like we also have
Yeah.
long hours, right? It's like there's every now and then it's like that little reminder, please get up, get something to eat. Like, I don't know how often I remind Hula, please get something to eat, because she would just forget to eat, right? Like, can you please not, like, go get something to eat? Or like, also like for Celia and I, it's just a reminder to get up, stretch, get the blood
Move.
moving a bit, right? Like, get some
Move.
fresh air, get something to eat, a snack, like fill up your water. Like, it's so important.
It
I think
is.
like Celia got 1 or 2 messages also, right, when I would see him being up in the middle of the night, because sometimes he just is like, NA is interesting, right? Like, I watched some more
Yeah.
NA, and it's like, you have to be up at 9 a.m. again for a 12-hour shift. Like, go to sleep.
Yeah, it's like with my sleeping schedule in particular, like I typically sleep like twice a day, like 3-4 hours each, right? So it's always awkward to wake up in the middle of the night and then you see, oh, Liquid has done something that I haven't seen yet on the previous day from Echo. And
Oh my
then,
god.
my analytical mind goes into overdrive. Oh, I want to figure out what they're doing, right? And then watch the stream, pull up some clips, read some spell information to make sure that I actually understand what's going on, write up some analysis and stuff that on the NA shift can use to spruce up the coverage a little bit. And yeah, weirdly enough, Picco sometimes notices, but then I also have to ask, but why are you still awake? Right?
Where?
How are
How'd
you
you
awake to
find
notice?
me?
How
So
did
yeah,
you
it's a
find
back
me?
and forth of everybody reminding each other to like be healthy. Yeah, do as
I
I
think
say, not as I do, kind of thing.
Look,
I
you
think
heard
that
it here,
also
everybody. Out the mouth of Raider.io. Sleep.
go to sleep. No,
Sleep is so fun.
I think that speaks a little bit more towards the I don't want to say the old player base of WoW, but it's the average age of the WoW player has definitely increased over the years. It's
Yeah.
kind of followed the same age
Yeah.
group, and I think we're all in the let's just say further half of that um, of the average there. So yeah, taking the breaks, getting up, sleep. For the love of God, sleep. Um,
I mean,
it's so
you grow up,
important.
right, and you get smarter. I want
Yeah,
to say.
some
So
of us,
some of
For
us.
all us old folk in here.
right?
But
I
is it like okay? I'm gonna say it. I'm 42. I don't feel like 42, and I. It's actually funny when I told Hula the first time how old I am. I was like, I'm 42. She's like, yeah, good joke. I'm like, no, I'm actually 42,
Oh
right? She's
God.
like,
yeah.
there's no way you are 42. And like,
Am I
do I have to
seriously
send
the
you
oldest
my
person here?
ID, right? It's like
You are.
maybe I
Yeah,
don't know.
Am I really the oldest person here?
I think barely.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah. I was like, Celia is younger than me.
Yeah, I'm 35.
Oh
I'm the
yeah,
same.
I was 43 in December.
Yeah,
I
we're
mean, that's almost the same age. So,
we're,
but
we're
like, but then maybe you know it. Like, it doesn't feel like 42, right? Like, I feel still like I'm more like mid to end 20.
yeah.
I think the gaming keeps us young.
I
Yeah,
think
Yeah.
so. We have to
It
interact
keeps
with all
us
those
somewhat
young folk
linked
too.
to when we actually started, right? Like you mentioned it earlier, like starting in like alpha, beta, and WoW. I mean,
Uh-huh.
over 2 decades ago now, right? There's players there's players we play with that weren't even born back then.
yeah.
Oh God.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
have
Your mom.
I have
I
yeah.
a
say that
few of
all
those
the time.
players are on my raid team when they're really young. We'll make a reference to like 7, 8 or whelp groups and like, what's that? I'm like, oh God, you
Yeah.
sweet
But
summer
when
child,
you
you.
when you do the pop culture reference to something that was that you watched as a kid, you know it's
Yeah.
very unlikely that they'll actually get it.
Oh, that reminds
Yeah.
me. That reminds me of the like our social media manager is I think the youngest in the Red IO team, and
Yeah.
I swear whenever Hula or I would make like a joke that is like from the 80s or 90s, he would be like, I don't get it.
Oh
Oh
God.
my God.
And
Look,
then
I
it's the other
tell
way around sometimes as well, right? Where it's like the new gamer lingo, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand what you just said.
What?
look, that's like I tell my kids all the time. Mommy graduated high school before Google was around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up without internet. I grew up
Yeah.
without internet and
Oh,
it's
and
like,
dial
what?
up?
Mhm. I
Yeah, but
I
that
can I can fold this thing called a paper map. Suck it.
Yeah. Someone please get off the phone so I can use the internet.
Yes.
Right? And then the dial up noise, I played that for the kids one day and they were like, "What was that?" I'm like,
That
"Dude,
is the internet.
you just have no idea the pain of watching that little man walk across the screen."
Yeah. Yeah,
I
this is
have to admit, like when the first time we got internet, I was already almost 18. Like I was 17, almost 18. Like I actually grew up all the way to 17 without internet, without having a phone. We actually lived life dangerously, right? Because like
Right?
we only had one phone in the house, right? And when it rang,
Uh-huh.
you would answer it. You didn't know who's there, right? But you would
Uh-huh.
answer it. Like, it's like
And then
Yeah.
we
when
lived
No
caller I
caller ID, no nothing.
right?
yeah.
And
exactly.
then when caller ID became a thing, it was like, "Oh, let's see who's calling now."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Do
exactly.
I
Is
know
that a
that
number I
number?"
know? Is that someone I want to talk to? Nah.
Yeah, and
Right.
nowadays it's just like I have my phone and it's like fully
Uh,
like no vibration, no tone, no anything. If anyone wants to call me, good luck. I will not notice, right? It's like,
well, also, even if they do call, like, why are you calling? That's what
Don't
text
call me,
yeah,
message is
text me.
for.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
Send a text message, send an email, whatever. Don't call me.
exact. Yeah,
Don't
why are
call
you
me,
call?
text me. I don't wanna
If you're
talk to
calling
you.
me, I'm assuming that you're like a spam call trying to sell me
Right?
something
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
or
contact me about my
that something
extended
really
car
bad has
warranty.
happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Unless you're
it's
my grandmother and you just wanna talk.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh god. Now that we've told all the young kids to get off my lawn. Uh, oh man. Yeah. I
I'm
think
actually getting into that age where it's like, when it's like the weekend or like during the week and my neighbors would be loud past like 11 p.m. or midnight. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing there? Can you be like silent?
go away. Go to bed. Jeez. Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to go to bed because that would be like, I don't go to bed at that time. Why would they, right? Like,
Just, go somewhere where I don't have to hear you or
exactly.
see you.
Just the other day, it was like, I think at 3 a.m. at night or something. No, 2 a.m. at night. I just had like some young guys outside of my house talking about like drinks and, oh yeah, do you have like vodka lemon? I would take one. I was like, dude,
It's 2 a.m.
it's 2 a.m. Go home. Your mom's waiting for you.
The bars are closed.
But to
But
be
I
fair,
do generally
Germany,
believe
right?
that having played the game for this long now, and still playing it definitely makes me or makes me feel not as old as the
Yeah.
number itself would indicate.
Very, very true.
So it
Age is a
definitely anchors
number.
us into this like somewhat, or I'm sure we've all fallen victim to the nostalgia
Oh yeah.
multiple
Yeah.
times, where it's
Back
like, oh
in
yeah,
my
certain things
day.
remind us of something that happened within the game like 15, 20 years ago, and that definitely anchors us a little bit to our youth. So that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I
Back in
mean,
my day.
Back in
I
my day, yeah.
remember
That's my
uh
reason for when someone says he is playing kata now, right?
yeah,
Oh
The
right.
my
kata.
god.
I was like, I killed that boss 15 years ago. Why would I play it again?
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, that was me when the vanilla servers came back out. I made a tune. I got like 20 minutes into it and I'm like, "Why am I doing this to myself again?"
Yeah.
I
I,
did
I
that. I
I
was like,
already
wait a
hurt
second.
myself like 15-ish years ago when the game originally released.
I
Why
remember
again?
buying
Why?
spells and I'm like, this is not a good system. We've gotten better
No,
since
it's
this.
not.
This is bad. Why am I buying rank 1 corruption? What? Why? Why?
Yeah.
Like when Classic came out again, I started a gnome. Just
Good
why
choice.
not to level, right?
Absolutely
A
the
bit.
correct choice.
I swear, after like already like 5 levels or so, I was like, I hate this shit. I hate this shit. I hate this. Like, and I stopped at level 10 because it's so slow and it's so, oh, like, why are we doing that? And I'm so
Oh,
happy that we don't have to do that anymore.
Right,
right.
look, it's unrelated, when the remix of I am absolutely loving the Mists of Pandaria remix.
Same. It's
It's
awesome.
not. It's intentionally not something you've done before. It's just going back and doing some quests and being stupidly overpowered in a fun way and having
Hmm.
some fun times. It's not
And mounts.
and mounts and
And mounts
transmog and
and transmog. A
it's
lot of it.
specifically not Mop Classic. They were very clear about that. It's not
Yeah.
trying to relive Mop. That's not what we're doing here, which is good. And I like this with Plunderstorm and with Mop Remix, these play modes that they're
It's
coming out with,
fun.
and just experimenting and seeing what sticks and screwing up along the way and fixing it and whatever. Good. Blizz, keep doing that. That's fun.
Yes.
That's interesting. We'll find stuff that will work. And please, again, nerf the frog farmers one more time, just for, just for grins. Um,
Just take it all away what they farmed. Like,
exactly.
for once,
Uh,
right? Like,
I think
just
they
stepped on
did
the
that.
foot.
I think they did that already, which is
No,
hilarious.
they nerf. I think they only nerfed the cloak a bit, right? But I'm like,
They nerfed the cloak a lot.
they should be like, okay, so you farmed that amount, you bought all these sets and all these mounts.
Guess what?
Guess what? Bye bye.
That's okay.
I
That's
actually haven't played
hey,
Remix at all yet.
you know
It's
what?
fun.
I don't think I will.
It's
Mounts.
stupid amounts of fun. Like that's all it is. I do not
Yeah,
take it
it's
seriously.
Mists of Pandaria is I think by far my most favorite expansion.
That is a
In
good
terms
one.
of class and raid design.
Hmm
Oh, I
I think
love
almost every
challenge
single
modes.
encounter there is like pretty memorable. That obviously that's just a personal taste, right? And
I'm
so
there with you.
I don't want to sour my reliving of that experience. With it not having like the actual Mists of Pandaria talents that we had back then. So I'm very much looking forward to Mists of Pandaria Classic.
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's going to be the first classic I'll dig in again
Yeah,
after
that might
TPC.
be
I
just
wonder.
to replay challenge modes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was wonder if they are going to include challenge modes in Mop Classic.
I would
That
assume so, yeah.
that might
I
get
would
me
hope
back in
so.
there.
Yeah,
Because I had a blast with challenge modes.
I
M
love
plus
challenge
version
modes.
1. It was a lot of fun. Specifically, I still wear on my mage because I was a mage back then. I still wear the challenge mode set that I got.
My druid
It's
is wearing that as well, and I did challenge mode on almost all like back then. Haha. There we have it.
Back in
yeah.
my
Um,
day.
Back then.
back then,
I
back
mean, yeah,
then,
it's been over a decade, right?
I actually was. I had, I think, every class, and I played every class, and I did challenge mode on almost all of them just to have the set.
Yeah.
Like I was a, what do you call it, an alcoholic
Uh-huh.
until I would say Shadowlands, and then it hit me with like, I'm too old for that shit.
And then you had to make the decision on whether you want to do the more 10 times.
Oh yeah,
No.
hell no, that's an easy
No.
decision.
I
It's a
mean,
It's a
no.
real easy decision. No. Yeah.
I did it on all of them. I've got everything max level this time around except my rogue and my death knight, which
Mm-mm.
they will be max level before the war within hits, because what if I decide I want to main swap to hit something that's never going to happen, melee, because I like to live in Narnia, because that's what ranged DPS are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh god, getting my range DPS to stack in with melee for, like a soak mechanic is like pulling teeth. It's like getting melee to stand still.
Yeah, that's
It
not
just
going to
doesn't
happen.
happen. Doesn't
What
I mean
happen.
else are we
it's
supposed to do other than AD all the time while we're trying to hit
See?
the boss?
See? This is what I have to deal with. Ugh.
Go live
I
it. Go
like
live
that
it.
kind of player. Like when you have to soak, it's like, oh, I see 4 people moving. That's good. I stay here.
Nope.
Exactly. That's
Because
enough
four
for me.
Right.
people is enough. They survive. Like I stay here.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness.
uh,
I can't,
I
Jazzy.
I just get to stare at boss crotch and go, I hope they get that. Man, they
Yeah.
didn't.
If you can see what it is even, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you just see a timer go down and you're like, something is happening behind this like massive hitbox. Good luck with that. I'll taunt on 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, bye.
I
But
do think though that in terms of like the actual boss design, playing tank probably has never been more enjoyable. Like maybe not in terms of like the actual tuning and balancing, but in terms of like boss mechanics, it's way more involved these days.
they actually gave tanks mechanics, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like experiments in Aberrus, for example. We actually have something to focus on and track with our swaps. It's not just a taunt on 3. No, now we have to taunt and time them so that we have to clear and all that stuff. That's great. Or Farrak, I was actually assigned to seed, which is hilarious because my Death Knight code tank just handled it in the last phase
Yeah.
because that's what you do. So, but yeah, I would agree mechanically tanks are in a great spot, but I don't know. It's hard to make an interesting tank mechanic that isn't just a lot of damage
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not you getting
and
smacked in the face.
hope they live, which it's always magic damage.
Yeah.
And as a brewmaster, I go, oh
Maybe they should implement some kind of puzzles or so for tanks in a boss fight.
yeah, that'd be fun.
You have to
Or
solve
I'll
the puzzle or you wipe.
Or if you want to break the game, Blizz, I'm just saying, bring back Vengeance. Not
God
the
no.
not the Demon Hunter thing, the other thing that we could cheese the crap out of and make all the
Yeah.
DPS hate us.
How about no? I wonder if they'll. That's one thing I'm actually wondering if they'll bring it back for MOP.
For mob class. Oh yeah. Uh I wasn't the tank then, but my tank was a brewmaster, and on Garrosh, would cheese the crap out of Vengeance and would top the DPS charts because he'd
Yeah.
stand in the star with
Yeah.
Zenmed and then just yeah. Yep. Look
It
at
was
you,
it was
Luke.
very normal
Good
for the
days.
tanks to be number 1 and number 2 on the DPS there, that's for sure.
I mean, that's one way for tanks to have fun.
I mean, you get Asriel in the keys and stuff, and it's not uncommon for him to be a top DPS in the key. He's a blood
Yeah,
death.
Yeah.
t
He's a blood death
tanks
knight.
I think tanks are like the rock stars of the M+, like, they can do no wrong, and whatever
Yeah.
they do, they'll still get invited. Then as a measly, melee DPS, I'm
Yeah,
sitting there and I'm like,
I'm
"Yeah, maybe one day again."
Here's the thing about tanks, because I can say this because I am one. There's not enough of us, so the ones that you get, you get.
Yeah, exactly, like, it's
Yeah.
and they make you understand that fact very quickly,
Yeah.
Oh
that they
yeah.
hold the power over the success of
I
being
I
able to
set
form a group to play Mythic Plus.
I set the pace. I'll tell you what to pull and when to pull it. If you don't like that, there's the door.
Yep.
right. You want me?
There's gonna
My
be
thing.
15 other people who would gladly take your spot.
Yep.
My thing is like, do you want me to get you more? Because
Mhm.
you're not taking any damage. Do you want me to get you more?
Yeah.
In my previous M plus group, we got to a point where we played it together so much, and we had our route all squared and everything. We're just going through and doing them. My healer would go and pull stuff for me, but it was an understanding that
100%.
I she knew exactly how much I was taking and knew that I could handle more if she could handle more. So,
Yeah.
it worked out very well. We timed a lot of keys
Who
and
was that?
pushed real hard. Star.
Oh, I like Star. I
Yeah.
miss her.
Yeah.
I do that as well, like when we are in a key and I notice, okay, tank is fine, more than fine, right? We can pull one more pack or two. I do that
Yeah.
as well for them. But like in my short phase while I was tanking, I was just like, you can pull whatever you want. I will not take that from you. If you can tank it, fine. If not, well, unluck for you, right?
That's the case with DPS. I treat my healers a little nicer, but yes. If the DPS pulls something, I'm like, congratulations. Hope you
But
got
I'm
that by
also
the sword
like,
up.
I think the worst kind of tank, like even without gear, and I would tank, and the healer is like, you can just pull. Keep on pulling, I gotcha. I will do
Yeah.
that. I'm a Harakiri tank. Like, if you tell me you can pull half of the dungeon, I will pull half of the dungeon. And I will die. But I will have had the best time of my life doing so.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm just
It's
I'm just a melee DPS. I'm glad if I don't die to one of the frontals of the 15 mobs you just pulled.
Yeah. I mean, just interrupt forehead.
Yeah. It's
What did you just say for?
it's an experience. I'm glad I have a shroud. I can vanish if push comes to shove, right?
Yeah.
Nah,
I'm
it's like
so
playing melee
glad.
and plus these days is a bit of a not so exciting experience, sadly. So I'm actually going to look forward if they'll address that somehow in the War Within.
Yeah. I hope there's fewer but more meaningful interrupt packs to deal
Yeah.
with
I'm
because there's too many right now. There's so many.
I'm so
Calm
glad I
down.
play a ranged DPS. You have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, playing ranged
Yeah.
DPS in Mythic Plus must be
It's great because I
it
get
always
to
reminds me of the clip of the guy dancing to payphone.
Yeah.
That's ranged DPS.
Yeah.
That
my
meme, the one that is sweating and the other one, I'm at the
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
That's melee versus range, and then in raid it's the other way around, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
always been the weird thing to me is
Yeah.
how
Range get to do all the
different.
mechanics.
Yeah,
yeah.
Melee get to zug in a raid.
That's
yeah,
why
and it's not fun either, right? Like I don't want to just like hit a target dummy for 8 minutes straight in an encounter. I want to actually be able to do things
Yeah.
You want to run
and
out of the puddle.
contribute to whether we wipe or not.
You
But
want to
all I
run
do
Yep.
is
out of all the
DPS.
puddles and all the
Yep.
swirlies. And is that a good is that green thing on the ground? Is that good or is that bad?
Is that a good green or a bad
If you have a Resto
green?
Druid, then you always want to make sure that you not stand in anything that's green on the ground.
Oh, we have a
That
running joke.
reminds me that I once helped out in a guild that was actually hating the range DPS. It was like, what's the raid called? Eternal. No, not Eternal Palace. The one with like Lady, whatever she was.
Lady
With the
Vash.
I don't think it was. Was it Vash with the LOS thing that everyone
Yeah.
hated?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
no,
Eternal.
that was
was,
Ashara. That was Eternal Palace.
Ashara.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Oh,
And
I'm thinking
there's
Burning
that one
Crusade
boss.
here.
Well, I think the second boss or so that would just be in the water, and you had to
Yes.
go round, right?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that raid would just like they would play the mythic strat on heroic,
Oh my god.
and I swear, I kid you not, they would be like, keep running, keep running. So they were from pull until that boss was dead. They were running in circles.
Oh my god.
And I was
Why?
like, question. Why do you hate your range DPS so much, your casters? Because like most of their DPS were casters. So we were just keep running and running and why do you hate everyone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
look, try doing that on an elemental shaman.
Yeah, I played Boomy in that. I was like, why do you hate
Oh,
us all?
that's. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just play Beastmaster.
Yeah.
You just
Problem
play
solved.
play
Actually,
hunter.
play Hunter, have a good life.
Oh god. Yeah. I was one of those weird people that went from a ranged DPS to a tank, and I was like, wow, this is way easier. This is, and my co-tank at the time was a bear. He's like, yeah, I've been telling you that forever. I'm like, yeah, but you just thrash. You literally do nothing. Like,
Who was your
chill.
co-tank at that point in time?
Lucrar.
I don't remember Lucra.
No, he
Oh,
was
don't
in.
say that. Luca will be sad now.
Was this
No.
before EK?
Yeah, this is before
Okay,
EK.
well then that's why I don't know Lucra.
He came to EK though. He was
Did he?
he was on I-Team. He led I-Team for a bit.
Was
Lucrar.
that when
After
my
Vert
husband was
left.
raiding with you guys?
Yeah, yeah. Rita knows Lucrar.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
But
just
yeah,
want to say,
I gave him crap.
Luca, you will always be remembered greatly.
Oh, I still talk to him and I give him crap constantly. He's fine. Um,
See, this is what happens when your husband raids on a different raid team.
yeah.
But that might be a good thing.
I mean, yeah.
I've always played Brewmaster as tank, which is always super spammy. And then he's just sitting there with Thrash and then pulling all the threat. I'm like, I hate you so much.
See,
So much.
I met my husband when our raid team back in Burning Crusade. I was on a Holy Paladin, and then I raided with him in the guild that we were in before we came to EK. I actually came over before he did because he took a break.
Slacker.
And and then he came and he came over and he started raiding with you guys for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then he decided that raiding was interfering with his sleep schedule.
I don't understand.
Reasons why I like raiding one night a week. It's great. Look, Harbinger raids Tuesday nights from 6 Pacific time to 9 Pacific time. It's great. It's one night a week. We get to spend the rest of the week doing whatever the heck we want to do in game.
I'm sorry, but at the time we were just raiding 3 nights a week, 3 hours a night. Like that's
Well, that's not
that's
even that
not a
bad.
lot. No. So his complaining is falling on deaf ears with me.
I mean, I mean,
Most of guys complaining are.
Yeah. Yeah. I say that as one of the leads at the time too.
oh,
But it's funny
gosh.
how you met your husband. Like I met my partner like 6 years ago, also playing
Oh,
again.
that was we've been married for 15 years
Oh, that's awesome.
and I haven't killed him yet.
I know. Well,
Only in game.
yet is the key word in that sentence.
Yet is the key word. I don't know if he keeps snoring. He may be.
Is there a contingency plan already, or that's what it sounds like?
No, not yet.
There is not, but
Yeah,
maybe
they
you
get.
shouldn't keep eating the breakfast you make for him.
Yeah.
He makes his
We-
own breakfast.
See, he's learned.
Okay, so once you start making his breakfast, maybe that's the point where he should be like,
Concerned.
Yeah.
This tastes funny.
this tastes
Oh my god.
It's just a new
Uh,
flavor and brand. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Did you
I
use sour milk in this?
actually know, I think 4 or 5 different couples that all met each other through WoW. Leia's one of them.
Oh, did she meet her hubby through WoW?
She did, yeah. My best friend met his wife through WoW, and they now have 2 kids, and I think they just celebrated their 10-year as well. Like, and who else? Star, uh, her
Didn't
partner, but they
Alora
split.
meet her
I think so.
partner
I
through
think
WoW?
so. Yeah. So we have a bunch of people
Oh,
that have all.
I got a friend that's not playing anymore that met her husband playing WoW. I actually
Yeah.
introduced them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually amazing how many people met their significant other playing WoW, right? Like, I know a bunch of people as well that just met their partner. Like I did 6 years ago. We were playing keys together and stuff. He is now playing Final Fantasy. He stopped playing WoW.
How dare he?
I mean,
To be fair, I can understand. Like, if you have people you can play with Final Fantasy and you have your guild there, etc. Like, I like a lot of the systems Final Fantasy has. I can understand that he does that.
I've played Final Fantasy a little bit, and my biggest complaint is it's so slow. A 2-second
Yeah.
GCD is just, it's killing
That's
me.
painful.
But the story, top tier.
The
Fantastic story. Love it.
I don't know how often I sat here and cried.
Right? It's really good. Highly recommend. Just play it casually for the story, and you'll be happy as a clam. Like, it's
I
great.
also love the system just that you have one character and you can have any job. Like, you
Yeah.
just switch. You
Yeah,
have
just
one
switch weapons.
guitar,
You're
you
good.
just switch and boing. Or you want to play a healer, that kind of healer. Okay, you just
Get rid of the axe and put a
weapon.
staff one.
Yep.
Yeah.
My
Yeah, that's something that WoW
and I
has not
love
quite figured
the
out yet.
transmog. Like, holy
yeah, the
moly.
glamour system. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I would love for WoW to adopt that of just any race, any class, go, and make you can just
Right?
switch.
Just change
That'd
your
be
gear.
really cool.
Click
And
a
any
button.
profession.
And
That's-
any
Click a
That's the
button.
big one for me.
Oh.
I don't understand how we're still only able to do 2 professions on a
Yeah.
character. So the people who really enjoy like the profession rework they did in Dragonflight, they need to have like 5 characters just to be able to enjoy all of them instead of just having it all on one. I don't really see why that is still a thing.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I'm surprised like 4 people of our age managed to get through like 2+ hours of only saying that phrase once.
We can fix that though.
No, that it is what it
Yeah,
is.
It
Oh,
is what it is.
That's actually a phrase you use a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
I am so proud of you.
Look,
Thank you.
I say it a lot too. I'm surprised too that it only got said once.
Yeah, Silly uses that a lot. Like when we talk in like DMs and so that, like, I don't know, once at least per talk. It's like, it is what it is.
I mean, it is what it is, yeah. What
It is.
else is there to say?
Should we get the counter started now? Because we're
I
up to
think
like
so. We're
5.
up to 5.
It's bad that we were both counting that, Jazzy.
I know.
Great
It has it.
minds.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
minds.
Oh yeah. All right. Well,
This has been a lot of fun.
It has been. It's been a pleasure speaking with y'all.
Likewise.
And
Likewise,
thanks
thank
y'all
you.
for coming and hanging out with us for checks clock 2 hours and change. It's been so much fun, and I can't thank y'all enough for Raider.io just in general. It's fantastic, and thanks for coming along. We really appreciate
Thank you
having y'all.
to and everybody involved for having us. Like it's always great to get opportunities like this to, chat, get to know new people and yeah, just exchange thoughts and feelings about the game, because I mean that's what we're all here for, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So much fun.
Again, thank you guys for coming. This has been a blast. I know I'm speaking for Jazzy on this too. And we will talk to you guys around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks, y'all.
Sounds
Have
good.
a lovely day, rest of your
You too.
Sunday, right?
Yes.